Welcome back to Vegas Live with Ninon. I'm Ninon, your host. You know, it's so hard to try to smile and have a presentation with this lovely mask on. But, you know, like the whole entire world, we have to abide by the rules. These are the rules now. And I have Stephanie Mann with me. And hi, how are you, Stephanie?
I'm great. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely. This woman is amazing. I've known Stephanie. We were trying to work it out, but it's at least 20 years we've known each other.
It doesn't feel that long.
No, we don't look that way either. Let's clear that up. But I met her when I was doing Voices of Tomorrow, and I had this sort of young children's teenage show actually, and she was in San Francisco, in Oakland, I think you were,
yes.
And I was obviously in Los Angeles, and we could have communicated a lot with the children, and it's so funny because since then, it's escalated to trafficking because we've always had trafficking for years and years and years.
Yeah.
But now trafficking is like a secondary way of life. I don't know and I don't understand how any human being over 18, because I'm going to quote 18, could ever want to traffic a young child.
It's all about money.
And mostly men.
Oh, yes.
And it's all about money.
Mm-hmm.
How could any man, and it's mostly men that do this, how could any man ever think of doing this?
Well, it's all about money. One girl, well, let me just say that first you have to groom them, and one of the things I would like to
Isn't
say...
that Maxwell woman, something?
Oh, yes, but...
She used to groom them.
Yes.
For Epstein.
But right now, they're being groomed on your computer at home. 79% of all children have seen porn at some point in their home, and only 25% will even tell a parent.
So why...
And the average age is 11. The
well,
average age.
I can understand being 11. I'm going to tell you why. Because the curiosity,
Yes,
children
it
are
does.
curious of anything.
Right.
And 11, 12 is about the time when they're very curious because they're starting, their little hormones are starting to work and everything's starting to connect. So they're curious. So when somebody, I would imagine, comes on the internet and starts explaining to them, and you know, and they probably, you know, ask, but where are the parents? Why don't they have these computers locked?
I know, right?
Well, that's what I suggest. You've got to have parental controls. You've got to
Where
know
the
what
parents?
your
The parents are
children...
out on cloud nine somewhere?
Well, they're also where the children are. For example, if children are playing games, parents think they're playing games, but that's where the predators are too, because they are where the kids are. So
how are they able to get in? Are they able to get in with a game they invent or with some particular thing that an 11-year-old would watch?
they're kind of like a player, and they make friends and say, I'm the predator and I can start talking to you.
Yeah.
You know, let's play together and I get to know you, and my name is, and I come across as being a child your age, which is age 12, 13. It's done all the time.
So, how do we get, because when I was growing up, we didn't have all this. We didn't have the computers, obviously.
No, we
I'm not
didn't.
saying I'm older, but I'm 39 and holding. I'm never moving, so put that right there. But,
Wait, I'm only 38.
oh, excuse me, yeah. Do you know something, the weirdest thing in this entire thing? I'm always the older one. I'm always the...
Oh, well.
But anyway, you know, and my parents were there, and I don't know, I can say they were always there, but they kind of looked at us, protected us, and doesn't happen now.
No. Well, parents are unaware that the predator, parents used to warn their children about predators in the park. Now he's in our homes.
But we know he's going to be on the computer. A
Yes,
parent's
he
got
is.
to know that.
Yes, but they don't always check on their kids. They don't always put on parental controls.
Yeah.
So parents have to be much more vigilant. And one of the reasons I wrote
this book.
Empowerment Parenting.
Empowerment Parenting by Stephanie Mann. Amazing book. This is a must read, especially now. You've got all the time in the world. You're all at home, and you can all read how to be a parent.
Yeah, it's
because
on
it's
Amazon.
different.
But what I wanted to say is that parents, a lot of them don't realize things have changed so much.
Yeah.
They were brought up, and parents are busy. But I want...
Then don't have children.
Yes, but this makes it easy for parents to empower their children so they will tell you, so that they will talk to you. For example, I suggest in the book
Yeah.
that you put in a listening chair in your kitchen or in your family room, and when children come home from school, whenever they start back again,
Yes.
or they meet a bully in the neighborhood or have a problem, and they sit in that chair, everybody has to stop what they're doing and listen.
Yeah.
Just listen. A lot of parents are too busy to listen, so
Well, most
makes-
parents, what you do is when the kid comes along, and I had a big thing about this when I did Voices of Tomorrow, and I used to say, one of my favorite things was just listen. And
Right.
just listen meant shut up and let your kid talk.
Absolutely.
But they didn't, because most parents, the kid will say, well, I did this and this happened. And they said, oh, I remember when I was a little girl. And they go on with their own story. And the kid, the memory of a kid is in and out.
Right.
The attention span of children is absolutely zero.
Yes.
So you have to pay attention to them. And I think now, this pandemic
Right.
actually gives an advantage to both parents
Yes.
to now pay attention, because you're all together in one house.
Right.
Don't put your child in the bedroom.
No. With the computer.
With
Make
the
sure
computer.
you check on them and know what they're watching.
So would you advise parents or anybody, grandparents, whoever's looking after these kids, to make sure that their computer is never in their bedroom?
I
That it's
would
always
indeed.
in
It
the
should
kitchen?
Be, it should
Or the
be
family room.
Family room.
Yes.
Where everybody can see and everybody.
And they can hear what's going on.
That's exactly right. The minute you put it in a bedroom, it can be turned off the second you open the door.
Yes, and the children will prefer it in the bedroom. Because this is
That's what
curious.
they'd like.
But it's a normal, is that not a natural thing that anybody would want to do, to have, their little private time? But not for kids.
No, you've got to be vigilant today. And
Yeah.
you've got, more than vigilance, you've got to build trust with your children. So they will want to tell you when they have a problem. That's the point of the
So
listening
you've got
chair.
to be, you've got to, you've got to trust the child, and the child's got to trust you.
Absolutely.
So if you have this little pack of trusting each other, and try to put it try and put the wording in a non-trusting verbal way, because once you use that word trust, the child usually backs off.
Yes, you may be interested to know how I happened to write this book.
Yeah, how did you?
Yes, I grew up in a very dysfunctional family, as a lot of
Didn't
people.
we all?
Very, alcoholism, abandonment, and
Oh,
so
wow.
forth. And so I was always very curious as to why some kids that have had a bad experience in their lives succeed, and kids that have had a good experience don't succeed. Well, I mean, what's the difference? Why do some children succeed and others don't? And we see a lot of homeless.
Yes.
A lot of alcoholics. We have suicides. And I found the answer in working with the homeless for 4.5 years.
You work with the homeless?
I
But it
worked
was
with the
nothing like
homeless.
it is now, right?
Oh, well, this wasn't that long ago, but I worked with the homeless in Oakland,
Yeah.
and I found out, well, I'll just say, with the Mary Ann Wright Foundation in
Okay.
Oakland.
Yeah.
And she fed like 300 people every Saturday.
The amazing woman.
Oh, absolutely. And so I would go in and help. And one day a young man asked me, he said, I don't know what to change. Can you help me? And I said, help you? I didn't know what he was talking about. I'm
Change
going,
what? Help what?
Yeah, what do you need? And
Yeah.
he said, what do I need to change? I don't want to go back to San Quentin prison. And I said, well, let's talk. So I sat down and listened to him every Saturday for about an hour, for about 2 months.
Wow.
And some of the other homeless men wanted to know what we were talking about. You know what I was talking to him? Telling him what I told my children when they were this big. This big. And those are the 10 steps that are in.
It's like going back.
Yes.
It's like going
You've got
back
to start
and-
early with children.
Yes.
7 is not too early to talk about what you might see on a computer and come and talk to me.
Yes.
7, as soon as they hit the computer, you better be talking
yeah,
to them
yeah,
about
and
what's.
they're 3, 4, 5 years old.
Oh,
They're young. I mean,
absolutely.
so you've got to. So it's really being aware.
Absolutely. You cannot ignore what's happening in your children. Well, most people don't. Most people do a good job. I must say, we got a lot of really good parents.
Yes, unfortunately, we don't hear about those parents, but there's some great parents out there, absolutely great.
But they need to work on the...
But even the great parents, things can happen.
Oh, definitely. And that's why you have to stay on top of the family structure.
Yes.
Make sure there's no abuse in the family. Make sure that you have figured out problems within your extended family. Kids need their grandparents, their cousins, their uncles.
Because then
Keep
they
in
have
touch.
different ways of being brought up. With when an aunt is talking to you, when a grandma is talking to you, when a mum is talking to you. Those are 3 different conversations.
Absolutely. And parents need to listen to all of them.
Yes.
Because everybody has a different point of view. But for example, if I'm your neighbor and I say to you, your child is pulling up my flowers, and you start accusing me, that's what's happened in some of our neighborhoods. Where people don't want to hear what the neighbor has to say. That is exactly the wrong thing to do.
Yeah, because our children, I remember children used to play in the streets. Remember, they all played in the streets, and they all had fun, and none of them were overweight because they were in the streets and they were doing
running
something.
Around.
So we really need the parents now to actually sort of get their children working again, being children again.
Being children again and being out there so that you can protect your kids. Being part of it and starting programs in the neighborhood. I mean, you can start a baseball game or you can start a basketball game.
Yeah.
There are parks around us.
And you can still have that distancing. You can still have the distancing.
You can still do that.
But because you can control that, all parents can control that and take care of it.
Be involved with your kids. That's super
So
important.
what would you like to suggest to the children now? You've got a lot of parents now. The children are not going back to school, so they're going to have to be at home 24 hours a day, which is fine. Now, either the parents now, they're saying that the women are now going to take a back step because the women are more in charge of the children, which is true.
Yes, it is.
So now they're also saying that maybe the husband works outside in his office for half of the time and the woman works outside of the office half of the time, and the reason they have to do that is because the children are at home and someone's got to look after them and teach them.
Yeah, times have changed.
So is this a good thing? I mean, this could be really, really good for the kid.
It could be. We have a problem with child abuse and neglect in this country. As taxpayers, we spend $220 million a day on that problem.
A day?
A day. $220 million a day on child abuse and neglect. So as neighbors, we need to look out for the children around them.
Yes.
And that's a whole different topic. But it is so important for us to get involved and know the neighbors.
So get to know your neighbors, but before you get your children involved, you've got to make sure who that father is and the mother is and who these parents are, because they could be. I had an incident the other day, and I was very outspoken, and I still am. I had a friend of mine, yes, and I had this woman, and I'm not going to mention names, obviously, and she had this boyfriend. Well, I met the boyfriend. The boyfriend couldn't look at me and say hello to me and look at me.
Oh, dear.
So that bothered me immediately. Then she has a little girl. She's 11 years old. Mm-hmm. And he wants to move in.
Oh.
And and the little girl didn't want that. So I told the mother, I said, listen, I've got a very bad feeling about this. I'm going to tell you what it is. Mm-hmm. And I still have the bad feeling, and they have moved in, but I still have that bad feeling.
Oh, that is
and
your intuition.
And I just have this bad, because the mother's out working, and the little girl now is at home all the time, and this guy is retired, and he's at home. I don't know, and the little girl adores me. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at the little girl and thinking, why do you adore me? I don't know you. But it's like, when they're looking at somebody like you and I, mm-hmm. they're looking like at a protection. Right. So maybe I could talk to her, and maybe I can have her as a friend. So I do. I talk to her, and hi, how are you? And I, make her sort of feel comfortable. But I still have that feeling, and I can't help it.
Well, build trust with her, so you get her to talk to you.
Yes.
A lot of children won't talk.
No, they won't.
But if they
because they're threatened.
They can trust you.
Well, because they say, if you say anything to anybody, anything, I'm going to kill your mother. I mean, this is things they say. And listen to what I'm saying. I know this. I did children's show for 16 years in Los Angeles. I went into situations that were absolutely diabolical. When
Yeah.
children were molested that morning by their father before the father went to work, and they would tell me the story.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that I'm talking nowhere. I know.
Well, we've got a lot of problems, but make sure you have a good surrounding support system for your children.
Support system is the best.
School is one place, neighbors are another place, family, extended family, and make sure those are good relationships. Be observant.
Protect
of
your
what's going
children.
on.
Watch your child. See something a little
Absolutely.
different? Ask. Don't be
Yes.
afraid to ask. But ask in a way that's not sort of doesn't shut the child down, because there's a way of asking and a way of not asking.
Well, you mentioned something very interesting. You mentioned the intuition.
Yes.
That you got the feeling.
When you got that vibe, that feeling.
Everybody has I mentioned this in the book about how to use your instincts, how to use your intuition, because that is something we all have, and when you feel that, pay attention. I had women tell me, I'm a crime and violence prevention consultant, and I had women tell me, I knew I shouldn't have let that man in to use my phone. She had a bad feeling about it. She didn't know how to say, I'm sorry, if I'll close the door and make a phone call for you, or
Whatever, yes.
or I'm sorry, I can't let you use the phone right now. If she gets that
It's funny what
feeling,
people do, and they don't realize what they're doing,
I had women tell me they couldn't get into an elevator because, they did get into the elevator, but they shouldn't have, because then their purse was snatched. So people have to be
When you have
more
that
aware.
feeling, and
Absolutely.
it's funny,
Pay
I
attention.
don't know how, but you always get that feeling about something or somebody.
Absolutely.
And I remember sitting in a restaurant. I was sitting at the bar with a friend of mine, and right opposite me there was this guy and this young girl, and she kept staring and staring and staring at me. I knew there was something wrong, and I was frozen as I didn't know what to do, because I thought if I go after them and accuse him, and he was going to turn around and say it's his daughter. You don't know.
No.
And then if you call the police, that could be wrong too. So sometimes you got to, you just handle it the way you think you should handle it.
That's right. You
Yeah.
got to use your own life
Instincts.
experience,
Yes.
your own instincts, your own feelings of how to react to a certain
We've all
situation.
had that. I've had those
We do.
instances. Yes,
we have amazing
yes.
powers.
Yes, we do.
All of us, and
So I guess that's your message.
yes, absolutely.
Stephanie's message is use your powers.
And one of the things I'd love to tell parents is, because there's so much of a discussion on bullies and their children being victimized.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have a graphic in the book about how to create a spiritually centered child that doesn't bully and doesn't become a victim, because these two attract each other.
Mm-hmm.
And
Opposites.
the opposites attract. So you want your child to be able to say, no, don't bother me, walk away, or report it, or something.
Yes.
But don't let it upset you. If you have a sensitive child, and these are usually kids that are very talented in some way, very creative, they're more sensitive to the world. So make sure that you strengthen those children by getting them involved in choir or group or even a church.
Give them something to do.
Yes, or a
Involve in
church when we
something,
get
church.
through with this, because they will see how people react to each other in a healthy way, not an unhealthy way.
That's
so
wonderful.
every child
That's
can
an
be
incredible message to close out on, because that's a message that we really need right now. Get your children involved. There's lots of different places. I know some churches aren't open at the moment, so
They will
maybe
be. One day.
they will be. So, but create a church in your neighborhood. Create something in your neighborhood where you can have distancing. You could open your home up, and you could have 6 or 7 people, and have your
Absolutely.
children involved as well, and sort of get the children involved. Get people involved, and I guess that's your message. That's Stephanie's message
Absolutely.
out there. And also, don't forget her book is absolutely amazing. Thank you, Stephanie, for coming on the show.
thank you,
She's just
Ninon.
amazing, and I've known her for all these years. And she lived in Oakland. I lived, and we both ended up in Vegas. I don't know what are you doing in Vegas?
I know, what are you
I don't
doing
know.
in Vegas?
I have no idea. Well, yes, I am. I'm doing the show, obviously. But you know, a little girl coming from Torquay, from England, and sort of ending up in Vegas. It's like, hello. Thank you for watching Vegas Live with Ninon. Don't forget to go to YouTube and subscribe, because with all your subscriptions, we put the show out there, and then we get to understand about how we can help children, how we get over this epidemic, and how we can sort of survive as people. And the only way we can survive is bring them all together, and let's be friends.
Absolutely.
And let's sort of open up a little bit and sort of don't be too afraid of your neighbor. You know, they're nice, they're great.
Get to know them.
Get to know them. There you go. Thank you, Stephanie. You
Thank
take
you
care,
so much.
and we'll be right back. If you enjoyed the last show we just did and all the other shows, don't forget to subscribe. Vegas Live with Ninon on YouTube. We've got plenty more coming up, and our guests are amazing. So don't forget to subscribe. We'll be right back. Vegas Live with Ninon.